The storm rolled in quick, turning the horizon bruised dark over Maple Hollow. Sergeant Claire Danner had driven these back roads 1,000 times, but tonight felt different. The air pressed heavy, and her partner, a Belgian Malinois named Jet, wouldn't settle. His ears twitched, nostrils flaring at something she couldn't sense. When he lunged toward the abandoned farmhouse by the tree line, Claire's gut tightened. She'd seen that place before, boarded windows and faded toys left in the yard like forgotten children. But when Jet clawed at the cellar door, she heard, too, faint, muffled breaths. If stories like this grip you, you may want to follow along. We'll be sharing more. The farmhouse sat in the shadows, its silhouette jagged against flashes of distant lightning. Claire killed the cruiser's engine, leaving only the patter of rain on the windshield. Jet was restless in the back, whining, his paws tapping at the metal cage floor. She pulled her rain jacket tight and stepped out. The air smelled of wet earth and something else, something metallic like rust. "All right, boy," she muttered, unclipping the back. Jet leapt down, muscles taut, eyes fixed on the house. His hackles stood up, the low growl in his throat making her stomach coil. The porch creaked as she mounted the steps. Most of the windows were covered with plywood, spray-painted with crude warnings. Keep out, private. She knew the place had belonged to the Kemp family, but they'd been gone for years. Rumors lingered, arguments, debts, a fire no one ever proved. Jet pulled her to the right side of the porch, nose scraping the wood. His tail stiffened, and he barked, sharp and urgent. Claire crouched, running her hand across the siding. Rotten, warped boards, but colder than the air around them. She pressed her ear, breathing, faint, irregular, but human. She stood so fast she knocked into the porch rail. Jesus Christ. Jet barked again, clawing now, his nails scraping splinters loose. She grabbed her radio. "Dispatch! This is Sergeant Danner. I'm at the Kemp property off Hollow Creek Road. I have possible..." She hesitated. What exactly did she have? Possible persons trapped inside. Send backup. Static hiss, then a voice. "Copy, Sergeant. Units en route. ETA 15 minutes. 15 minutes. Too long." Claire scanned the porch. The front door was chained from the inside. She circled the house, Jet leading, until they reached a side window where the plywood had peeled. She yanked it free, coughing at the stale, mold-heavy air that poured out. Inside, her flashlight beam cut through dust and warped wallpaper. Dolls. Hundreds of them. They lined the shelves, the floor, slumped in rocking chairs. Glass eyes staring. Porcelain faces cracked. Some missing arms, some burn at the edges, as if they'd been through fire. Her chest tightened. Jet whined, ears flat. He didn't bark this time. Instead, he lowered his body, stalking forward like prey was near. Claire followed, her boots crunching over broken doll parts. The smell was stronger inside, rock copper, old damp wood. She passed into the living room, her light sweeping across more dolls, stacked in neat pyramids against the walls. Jet froze in the doorway. He turned his head sharply, nose flaring toward the far corner. Claire followed his gaze. A cabinet, tall and wooden, its doors cracked open. Inside, more dolls, their dresses yellow with age. But behind them, she heard it, soft, ragged inhalations. Her blood ran cold. "Hello." Her voice shook despite herself. "Is someone in there?" The breathing hitched, quickened, like whoever was inside had been startled. Jet barked once, lunged, and the cabinet rattled violently. Claire yanked the door open, scattering dolls to the floor. Behind them, wedged against the back panel, was a boy, his skin pale, his lips chapped, his wide eyes reflecting her beam like an animal caught in headlights. He tried to scream, but only a wheeze came out. "Oh, Jesus!" Claire dropped to her knees. "It's okay, you're safe. I'm a police officer." But the boy shook his head violently, mouthing words she couldn't understand. And then she heard it, another sound from deeper in the house, a dragging, heavy step across the floorboards. Claire whipped around, gun drawn. Who's there? The only answer was silence, then another step. She backed toward the boy, keeping her weapon raised. Jet snarled low, his whole body trembling. The boy tugged on her sleeve, whispering now, barely audible. Not safe. Not safe. Claire's radio crackled. Danner, update? She pressed the mic, her eyes still locked on the darkness ahead. I've got a child alive. Unknown additional subjects in the house. The dragging grew closer. Not hurried. Slow, deliberate. Jet lunged forward, teeth bared, but Claire caught his harness. Stay, she hissed. The beam of her flashlight trembled as she raised it. For a heartbeat. She thought she saw something shift just beyond the hallway. Broad shoulders, a face vanishing into shadow. And then the sound stopped. Silence. Claire's pulse hammered. The boy whimpered against her side, clutching her jacket. The air felt too thin, the smell of rust choking her throat. She swallowed hard, every instinct screaming to get out. But she couldn't. Not with him here. Not with whoever else was in the house. All right, she whispered, more to herself than anyone. We're not leaving you. She eased the boy forward, toward the broken window she'd entered through. Go. Crawl out. Now. He shook his head again. Tears streaked his cheeks. She'll hear. Claire crouched to meet his eyes. Who? Before he could answer, something upstairs crashed, a deafening slam, like a door being torn from its hinges. Jet barked wildly, lunging toward the stairs. Claire's flashlight flickered once, twice, then went out. The house fell into darkness. The dark pressed heavy, almost physical, against Claire's face. She slapped the flashlight, the bulb sputtering before catching again in a weak, trembling beam. Dust swirled in the cone of light, and Jet's teeth glistened as he growled into the stairwell. The boy clutched her arm. Please, he whispered. His voice was so hoarse it sounded broken. Don't make noise. She doesn't like noise. Claire steadied her breathing, forcing the panic back. Her training told her to wait for backup. Her gut told her 15 minutes was too long. She keyed her radio. Dispatch! I have one juvenile male, approximately 10 years old, conscious but weak. Unknown hostile in the structure. Where are my units? Static, then ETA 8 minutes. Hold position. 8 minutes. In this house, it might as well be an hour. Jet whined, pulling her toward the stairs, but the boy clung harder. No, don't go up. She keeps them there. Claire crouched. Who? The boy's chest rose and fell too quickly. His lips trembled. The dolls. They're not all dolls. Her blood chilled. She wanted to ask more, but upstairs a floorboard groaned. Slow, deliberate, not careless. The weight of someone who wanted to be heard. A message. I know you're here. The house seemed to hold its breath with them. Claire's training drilled through the fear. She had to secure the child. She swept the flashlight around, found the broken window where she entered. It wasn't far. All right, she whispered. You're getting out. Now. The boy shook his head violently. His eyes went wide and he mouthed a single word, trap. Lightning flared through a crack in the boarded window. For a split second, Claire saw something on the wall at the base of the stairs. Not wallpaper, not mold, writing, scrawled in jagged black paint. Quiet or they wake. The thunder swallowed her heartbeat. She grabbed the boy's wrist and pulled him toward the window anyway, her beam darting for danger. Every doll she passed seemed to stare at her now. Their glass eyes caught the flashlight in cold glints. One toppled off a shelf with a soft thud. The boy gasped. Jet snapped his head toward it, low growl vibrating. Then they heard it. From above, a chorus of tiny sounds. Soft creaks, faint dragging, like feet shuffling. Not one pair. Many. Claire froze, heart hammering. Jesus. The boy shook uncontrollably. I told you. Her every nerve screamed to run. But something in her, the part that had answered the badge, that couldn't look away from a child in danger, forced her to plant her feet. She couldn't just leave. Are there more kids? She asked, her voice barely audible. The boy's silence was answer enough. Claire turned the window again, tried to lift the boy through. He clawed back in, panicked. She's waiting outside. She watches the road. Claire's jaw tightened. Whoever she was, this wasn't some old, empty house with rumors. Someone was here. Someone who'd filled this place with dolls and children and rules. And Claire had just broken one. The footsteps upstairs grew louder, this time deliberate, crossing the length of the room above them, then stopping directly over their heads. Dust sifted down from the ceiling. Jet barked furiously, yanking at his harness. The boy shoved his face into Claire's chest, sobbing silently. Claire aimed her gun at the stairs, her hand steady even as sweat stung her eyes. Police, show yourself. For a long, unbearable moment, nothing. Then came the reply, a woman's voice, thin and ragged, but with a sharp edge of glee. You shouldn't have come, officer. The words slid through the walls like whispers carried on rot. Claire's skin prickled. She tightened her grip. Step into the light with your hands up. A laugh, soft and broken, echoed down. No, not me. Them. The upstairs floorboards groaned again. Multiple steps this time, dragging uneven, like bodies moving without rhythm. Jet lunged forward, barking so loud it shook the walls. Claire pulled the boy behind her, retreating toward the living room doorway. Her flashlight beam caught the staircase just as the first figure appeared. At first glance, it looked like another doll, its face pale, eyes staring. But then it blinked. A girl, maybe 13. Her arms hung limp at her sides, skin waxy under the beam. She shuffled forward, doll clothes draped over her like a costume. Claire's throat closed. My God! Another figure lurched behind her. A boy, even younger. His lips moved soundlessly, his bare feet dragging against the wood. Then another, and another. Children, dressed as dolls, moving as if pulled on strings. The woman's voice carried down the stairs. Sing-song. They're good children. Quiet children. They don't scream anymore. Claire felt the boy trembling against her back. His nails dug into her sleeve. She makes him like that. She makes him forget. Claire's stomach twisted. These weren't just lost kids. They were captives, drugged, conditioned, broken. And now they were coming closer. Stay back, she shouted, gun aimed. I will shoot. The girl on the stairs blinked slowly, her lips twitching, then stepped down another creaking stair. Behind her, the line of children followed. Silent, unstoppable. Jet snapped, straining hard against her grip. Claire fired a warning shot into the ceiling. The blast thundered through the house. The children didn't even flinch. But upstairs, the woman shrieked, a piercing, inhuman sound that rattled the dolls on their shelves. No. You'll wake them. The boy in Claire's grasp clamped his hands over his ears, sobbing. The children halted mid-step, like marionettes waiting for their strings. Claire seized a chance. She spun the boy toward the window again. Now, crawl through. Don't stop until you see the flashing lights. He hesitated, fear choking him. Claire grabbed his chin, forced his eyes on hers. You want to live? Then move. Finally, he obeyed, scrambling to the broken frame, cutting his arms on the splintered glass but not stopping. His small body vanished into the rain outside. Relief flickered, but only for a moment. The upstairs boards thundered again. Something heavier now. Not children. Claire lifted her gun as a figure appeared at the top of the stairs. Tall, thin, a woman with long, tangled hair hanging in wet strands, a stained nightgown clinging to her frame. Her face was half in shadow, but her eyes burned wild. You don't get to take them, she hissed. Her voice cracked, then rose into a scream. They're mine. She flung her arms wide, and the children jerked forward again, stumbling faster this time, down the stairs in a ragged line. Jet lunged, teeth bared, and Claire fired, this time at the lead girl's leg. The crack of the shot split the air. The child crumpled with a scream. Real, not a doll. Claire's chest caved. She'd shot a child. The woman laughed, shrill and delighted. See? They bleed the same. The children didn't stop. They surged forward, more frantic, reaching with pale hands. Claire backpedaled, her mind tearing itself apart. She couldn't shoot them. Couldn't kill kids. But she couldn't let them swarm her either. "Jet, out!" she commanded. The dog bolted through the window, vanishing after the boy. Claire took one last step back into the living room, her options collapsing. The woman shrieked again, and dolls toppled from shelves, hitting the floor in a rain of porcelain. The children pushed closer, their small fingers clawing for her. Claire's back hit the wall. Her radio crackled uselessly. Units 2 minutes out. 2 minutes might be too late. As the first child reached her, their eyes vacant but wet with tears, Claire realized something with sick clarity. They weren't attacking her by choice. They were being driven, and if she wanted to save them, she'd have to go through the one pulling the strings. The woman at the top of the stairs. Claire raised her gun again, not at the children but at the shadowed figure. "Get your hands off them," she shouted. The woman smiled, teeth glinting. "Make me?" Claire's hands were slick on the pistol grip, her breath sharp and shallow. The children closed in, their little palms outstretched, faces slack but streaked with tears. Every step they took made the floor groan like the house itself was warning her to run. At the top of the stairs, the woman swayed in her tattered gown, arms spread wide like a conductor before an orchestra. "They belong here," she crooned, her voice threading the air like smoke. "The world doesn't want them. I keep them quiet. I keep them safe." "Safe?" Claire's voice cracked. "They're starving, broken. Look at them." The woman tilted her head, her hair falling across half her face. "Better broken than screaming. You know what screaming does, don't you, officer?" Claire felt the words stab deeper than intended. Memories she had buried stirred. Her own son, Evan, screaming into the void of a night she could never fix. The silence that followed, permanent and cruel. The woman smiled like she had seen it in her eyes. "Yes, you know." The children surged forward again, but slower this time, as though torn between their own small bodies and the command forcing them on. Claire steadied her aim at the woman. "End it. Call them off. Now." The laugh that came was jagged, broken. "Oh, I don't call them. They come because they want to. They need me. Every last one abandoned, forgotten, discarded like broken toys. I give them purpose. Dolls don't cry when no one loves them." Behind Claire, porcelain crunched under her boots. She could smell the copper tang of blood. Her bullet had grazed the girl's leg. The girl whimpered faintly on the floor, alive but dazed. Claire's stomach twisted. She couldn't lose more children tonight. The sirens were faint in the distance now, wailing through the storm. Help was almost here. But would they be too late? The woman seemed to sense it. She stepped onto the top stair, and the children stiffened, their eyes flicking up to her. Show her what happens when someone tries to take you. The girl nearest Claire suddenly lunged, her tiny fingers clawing. Claire shoved her back, catching the wrist. "I don't want to hurt you," she shouted. The boy she'd rescued earlier. She prayed he was out there, reaching the deputies, alive. She couldn't let his warning be for nothing. Claire's eyes locked on the woman again. "They're not yours." Something dark slid over the woman's face. "And what about yours, officer?" The one you couldn't save?" The floor dropped from beneath Claire's chest. She felt the world tilt, her vision flashing with a memory. Evan, 6 years old, pale under hospital lights, machine silent when she begged him not to be. How could the stranger know? The woman tilted her head, her grin cracked and wet. "We all lose them, Claire. Some of us just choose to keep them after." Her voice was inside Claire now, pressing against old wounds. The line between the children in front of her and her own son blurred. What if she had been given the choice, twisted as it was, to keep him breathing, empty-eyed but breathing? Jet's bark ripped through the night outside. The boy's voice followed, faint but desperate. "Help! Inside!" "She's inside." The sirens grew louder. The woman's smile faltered. Her eyes narrowed. She shrieked, high and piercing. The children convulsed, then collapsed to their knees, clutching their ears, wailing as if their strings had been cut all at once. Claire didn't hesitate. She charged up the stairs 2 at a time, gun leveled. The woman backpedaled, her grin faltering as Claire closed the distance. "Don't!" she hissed, raising a hand. You'll break them all. They need me. Claire pressed the barrel against the woman's forehead, breathing hard. No, they need to live. The woman's eyes gleamed, unafraid. Then pull the trigger. Make them orphans again. Claire's finger trembled on the trigger. She could hear boots pounding on the porch outside, deputies shouting. The house swarmed with sirens and light. The woman laughed again, quieter now, almost tender. You can't do it. You can't kill me. You'd be killing yourself. And then another voice, sharp and urgent. Claire, don't. It was Sergeant Miles Rowan, her oldest friend on the force. He stormed through the doorway with his gun raised, rain still dripping from his jacket. Behind him, 2 deputies moved to contain the children. Claire didn't lower her weapon. She's controlling them. Miles. She's been keeping them like this. Miles' face twisted. I know. Her heart lurched. What? He took a step closer, his gun not on the woman, but on Claire. I told you not to come here alone. His voice cracked. You don't understand, Claire. These kids, they were never going to make it. She kept them breathing. That's more than their own families did. The betrayal seared hot through her chest. You knew? You let this happen? His jaw clenched. Better this than graves, Claire. The woman smirked, her eyes glinting in triumph. He understands. The children whimpered on the floor. Their small cries cut through Claire's rage like blades. Claire met Miles' eyes, her voice low, broken. You were supposed to protect them. Lightning crashed outside, filling the room with white fire. For a moment, no one breathed. Then Claire pivoted. Instead of firing at the woman, she dropped low and slammed her shoulder into her, sending her crashing back into the wall. The gun clattered to the floor. The children screamed, clutching their heads. But then, suddenly they went still. The invisible hold had broken. Miles shouted, No! Lunging forward. But deputies rushed in, tackling him before he could reach her. The woman shrieked, thrashing under Claire's grip, her nails clawing at the floorboards. They'll die without me. Claire forced her face to the ground, cuffs snapping around her wrists. No, they'll live without you. Hours later, the farmhouse was alive with flashing lights, deputies escorting the rescued children out under blankets. Paramedics worked in the rain, checking pulses, shining lights into vacant eyes. Claire stood apart, soaked, shaking, her uniform spattered with mud and blood. Jet pressed against her leg, warm and grounding. The boy she first found approached, a blanket around his shoulders. His lips trembled as he looked up at her. Are we really safe now? She crouched, brushing wet hair from his face. Yes, you're safe. He studied her eyes, searching for truth. Finally, he nodded, his small hand squeezing hers. Behind them, deputies loaded the woman into a cruiser. Her head lolled, hair plastered her face, but her smile lingered. Quiet now, she sang softly, almost to herself. Quiet or they'll wake again. Claire turned away, her stomach twisting. Miles was in another car, head down, wrist bound. She couldn't even look at him. The boy tugged her hand again. You didn't let her keep us. Her throat burned. She swallowed hard, forcing a steady smile. No, I didn't. He leaned into her side, and she wrapped an arm around him, holding him tighter than she meant to. For a long moment, the storm's noise faded, and all she felt was a fragile weight of him against her. Her radio crackled. Units clear. Transport en route. But Claire barely heard. She was somewhere else, in the quiet after the machines, when Evan's hand slipped from hers. She had carried that silence for years. Now, in the boy's trembling grip, she felt something different. Not silence, not emptiness. Breath, small, fragile, but alive. She closed her eyes, holding him as if he were her own. And for the first time in years, the quiet didn't feel like loss. It felt like hope,